Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I have some exciting bits of things to share. First of all, GitHub Universe is coming up. Registration for that's open. If you are interested, actually, hang on. Let me get it open. I didn't open up I didn't even open up the pages for it. But here, we can do this. Boom, boom, boom. So this is GitHub's premier conference every year that they do with all things latest GitHub and what's coming. I will be shocked if Copilot is not featured front and center in every possible session under the sun. But if you are interested, you can go in here. The virtual pass is free. So that you can at least join online, watch it there, get access to a lot of the sessions and content that is in there. For anybody who's doing anything with Copilot or GitHub in general, this is always well worth the watch, especially if you're on GitHub Enterprise, because there's always good sessions around security and various things of that nature. And there is the agenda that you can dive in. I have not had a chance to go through all of the sessions yet, but I am sure that there is a lot of gold in there. And then if anyone is down in the California area and is interested in going, or wants to travel there, by all means. So there is that. Next thing for where's my other tab? I am going to try to get the T-Unit MTP stuff wrapped up, and then my intent is to release a version of Material Design. It was pointed out to me by Nikolai this last week that we actually kind of have a weird problem going on, and it's really unfortunate the way that it works. But if we look at Material Design, there is a problem with these versions. You will note something, right? See this? 522998. The reason is because the way NuGet does versioning is you've got a major, a minor, a patch version, and then you've got this label that's on the end. And the problem is the label is ordered with an ASCII ordering, right? Which is kind of like these ones, the first three digits are forced to be numeric, so it can do, regular integer math. These ones aren't. So even though they contain a number, they aren't sorted by numbers. And the reason this matters is if we scroll all the way down here, you'll note something, right? 19 days ago, the latest updates are coming out, but they are falling off of this. So there's a couple ways that we may go through and fix this. Part of the issue is I don't actually own the NuGet key that is pushed here. Because even though I'm the maintainer, the owner of the library still maintains the NuGet page for it, which is fine, right? Every year we have a great chat where I say, hey, the API key expired. Can you go put the new one in? And he goes, yeah, sure. Give me a second. And then poof, it appears. Right, which is awesome. But it does mean that because we've rolled over, it's kind of problematic. Some people will intentionally prefix their numbers. The problem is there's no way for me to really fix this without changing like maybe the CI prefix or something. And so the easiest thing to do is just to rev out a full release. Right? So part of doing this is just to get a full release out the door and off and running. This will probably be, because the MTP one I believe drops net 6 because it's out of support. But you can see this one here, the last one was 6 months ago. So it'd be nice to be able to roll one out and get it going. So that's the intent there, because when people are just checking for updates, if they check the little, give me preview release, this is the version they're getting, which is kind of annoying, right? And you can always go in and tweak your version and manually set it to one of these, but I would like to get that out. That does mean some things are going to get punted out, because I'm kind of more interested in a quicker release just to kind of resolve this issue to make it not an issue anymore. And so that is kind of obnoxious and done. The other thing that I wanted to point out is I have been spending way too much time this week getting my YouTube publishing going again. So for people on YouTube, I apologize. I don't think I've posted a video in like a month. So if you're watching this on YouTube, hi, we finally got it working. But I did finally get something publishing out today where I rewrote my tooling and got it going, and it does the easy login, it does the needful, and you can see it is actually posting videos out. So if anybody wants sneak peeks, you can actually find the video ID down here, and if you are clever with your URL concatenation, you can find these unlisted videos out on my page that are not listed yet, and they're unlisted because they don't have cover images, they don't have descriptions vetted or reviewed. So, you know, if you jump in, consider that sneak preview access. And yeah, so if you watch this, the other thing is I need to update this to get the subtitle action working now, and I need to turn on the import to actually run on a schedule like it was before. I had turned it off because it was failing due to the way I was importing videos being problematic. So that is now fixed. It is now working. Huzzah. And I can now get everything going. I probably could have manually published. I am an engineer, which means I obviously spent like, I don't know, 8 to 10 hours automating something that would have taken me 15 minutes, right? That is the mentality of the engineer. We automate the things only because I know that, like, it may only be 15 minutes, but I know my mentality. If I'm like, oh, I got to go spend 15 minutes doing that, like, that's going to bother me. It bothers me manually doing something that I could automate. So that part is obnoxious. So with that said, we are going to go ahead and get this done. There is, let me see here. I wanted to grab one thing. There's a great video that was shared with me here. Yeah. I'm going to grab this. This is a video on Microsoft testing platform and all of the interesting stuff that is coming with Net 10 and some of the features that are in there. I was a little bit ignorant on a lot of the features that were in there and didn't fully understand how they were working. And I had realized I had made a small mistake in the way I had integrated it on a couple of projects. So was chatting with one of the engineers on the team. He got me pointed in the right direction, which is great. My intent too is to update my templates to take advantage of this, because for people who haven't seen it, let's just go back to the root. Back to the root. Back to the root. I can spell templates. All right, so this is my templates here. Right, for anybody who's seen them. But I want to go through and update the test portion of all of these to be able to leverage MTP and then also generate this. I may just let Copilot do it, frankly. Copilot's been on fire. Okay, last thing I wanted to mention, because I have absolutely been loving it. Actually, no, let's not do that. Let's just go. If I go get cracking here and I go, where's the release notes button? There's the release notes button. This release. This is the magical release that you want to be on. Like, go get this release if you don't have it already, right? Dropped on June 17th. This auto resolve, the AI powered merge conflict, has absolutely blown my mind this week. When I first saw this, I thought this was AI infused, picking the left and the right for you to try to resolve conflicts, right? And if that's all it did, that would have been cool, right? But it's actually better than that, which blew my mind. So not only will it pick between left and right, it will actually deal with the three-way merge and edit the three-way merge to keep it consistent. Some examples. I had a conflict where there were both of sides of the merge commit had added items into an array, right? And in this case, there was no trailing comma. And so not only did it pick the appropriate way to merge left and right, but it also made sure to adjust the commas so that it was valid syntax at the end. That was cool. There was another situation where I had a directory packages.props file where on one branch that I had been working on, I had reordered the packages props file to be alphabetical. Great, right? The problem is some other team member had gone through and added a package and had just done it with like Visual Studio or whatever, which was fine, right? But because I had reordered the package, that whole directory packages prop was a rainbow merge. Like, there was gonna be conflicts if anybody else touched the packages. Sure enough, another team member goes and adds a package, fine. But not only did it figure out how to appropriately merge it, it took the result and knew that I should alphabetize the packages And so it put those new packages in appropriate alphabetical order. My mind was blown. I was like, holy crap, that is awesome, right? I want to get more details on exactly what it's doing, and I may sniff some of the traffic because I assume it's just shelling out to the GitKraken server the same way they do some of the other AI stuff. But I wanted to see, I was absolutely impressed. So if you hate merge conflicts, which I have never met an engineer who likes them, if you hate merge conflicts, this is your best friend. Like, as soon as I see a merge conflict, if I don't look down and immediately see the problem, I'm clicking this button. The only teeny problem with this button, only teeny problem, is sometimes it feels a little slow. It feels a little slow. Like, if it's a simple conflict that I know how to resolve, I can probably click the buttons faster than the AI can solve it. In general, right? But aside from that, it has been on point for me. And I love how it comes back with a confidence percentage of how confident that it's at. If it's above 90%, it's probably on the mark. The one time it messed up, the only reason it messed up is it didn't know my intent of what I was doing, because I'm trying to remember what it was. It was like there was me and somebody else had both edited the same lines, and rather than picking left or right, it needed to know that the packages that I brought in were replacements for the conflict lines, and to just drop the other ones and take my half, right? That was the only time I've seen it mess up, and I don't expect it to be able to resolve those types of things, because that would require the AI to have knowledge about like which packages supersede functionality of another package. Is like, dear heavens, humans can't do that, and it's hard enough to keep that straight. You just have to have knowledge of what the packages are. So with that said, the absolute gold. I cannot recommend this enough. I sent a shout out to their team thanking them for the feature, and because I was so impressed with it. This last week I have been so impressed with it. Absolutely impressed. Okay. So yes, definitely check this out. I think the phrase I used is, this is going to be an app defining feature. Like that, this is a big deal. Okay, I am done gloating on my beloved GitKraken. Okay, we're going to rebase this sucker, and I'd like to knock this thing out because we are very, 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 very close. There is also a really cool thing. So in that, and I'll highlight it real quick. There is a feature that they show off. Where is it? It was near. It was near the end where they were showing off the hosting bits. Oh, where is it? They show off the hosting portion and the hot reload. Was it near the end here? Was it here? Yes, this. Let me. So this is, and yeah, so I'm just backing it up to where they actually start on this. Yeah, so anybody who's interested, copy video at current time. So what is that? Around 1830, give or take a little bit. There's the timestamp for anybody interested. Where Yusuf goes through the hot reload bit. This part is pretty cool. So if you like hot reload, being able to get going, this is a little bit different than a regular like hot reload in the code. This is with your tests. So it's almost like the equivalent of where you would have like a .NET watch coupled with hot reload and a .NET test. It's kind of merging those features together. And it's the demo's pretty slick. Absolutely pretty sick. And this is why I want to go through and update my templates to leverage some of this stuff, because it is pretty cool. For anybody not on .NET 10, one thing that I became aware of that I did not realize, if you run .NET test pointed at your solution file rather than your project, pause that so I don't have to listen to it, you may run into issues where your output doesn't show you the results of your test. Which is kind of annoying. And as I have learned, the way they implemented the .NET test functionality with the VS Test integration was kind of hacky, being fixed in .NET 10, so November 2025 expected. But just be aware that that's kind of a weird hacky solution in there, and so it can kind of it can bite you at times. Okay. And also, Kraken has a summer sale, and if people missed it, they had a sale earlier because it was their 10th anniversary, I think is what it was. Some anniversary. I don't do dates well. Okay, so the other thing, and the reason this comes up is because I'm looking at this output from the MTP, and some of this is kind of difficult to look at. So we may try to clean some of this up. Let's see. So let's go look at color picker tests. Let me get this guy open because I think we just rebased. And we're going to put this sucker down. And if I can get this going, the other thing I want to do is take a look at Velopack, because the MSI stuff is still outstanding. And Kaylin and I were chatting, and we want to put that thing to bed. It's drug on too long, and I'm hoping to get to it this weekend or tonight, or we'll see what happens. I don't know how helpful I will be. It's one of those awkward situations because there's processes starting and Rust and various things. It's not consistent either, which makes it even more obnoxious to try to track down. You just got to love those bugs that are out there. Okay, so let's go in here. Let's make sure we're building first of all. Because we may have a handful of bugs that are biting us. Because I'm seeing this test context cancellation token. This might be... I'm waiting for this thing to update, because I think there may be an issue with... Because I just rebased onto master. I think there was a handful of tests that got added or modified, and so I might have some... No, these are fine. They're fine. Okay, so let me make sure that I am on the right test. Here we go. Okay. WPF color picker test 124. Boom. Is greater than blah 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 blah. Okay, so this guy here, run test. I don't see the is greater than call. Why am I missing this? Am I looking at the right test now is the question. Oh, this is WPF test, not UI test. That's why I'm looking at the wrong thing. Okay, WPF tests. That's colors. This one. Why do I have... Why is it unhappy about this folder? Do not understand what that is going on with. And I've had some weird things come up on the latest Visual Studio previews. There's just been some weirdness, specifically around running tests, which is like I've had things where like tests don't show up and I have to restart before they'll come through, and all kinds of things. Okay, so let's run these tests. Or like right-clicking in the file, which normally would allow me to kick off running all of the tests, sometimes doesn't launch all of the tests. Okay. That seems to have indicated failures. Great. Great. Looks like the result from outside. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is take a quick peek at what the test is over on master, because what I've found is that in my conversion over, I made a lot of mistakes, which doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. I went into the wrong directory. Tests, and I need the WPF tests, and I need the color picker tests, and I need to look at the... Sorry, if it seems like I'm also having trouble, it's because yesterday one of my monitors died, and turns out I like having screen real estate to play with. Let's see. So the previous call was an assert true that the current saturation was greater than last saturation. That's a little big. Let's go there. So did we do the same thing? Assert that current saturation is greater than last saturation, and it wasn't exclusively greater than. I think Let's see. Drag thumb. Sorry, I'm just checking the code against it to make sure that there is something different about these things, and I'm not putting my finger on it quite yet. Okay, so before some of the stuff was in the constructor, I think, is what got moved down. Yes. Color picker, create element, do style, all of that stuff. There was the access to the items. Okay, so that was a fix that we did. Right? So that's okay. Dragging thumb changes saturation. So then we set the color to red. Drag thumb, horizontal offset. And we previously, it was able to just use it, and then we injected the saturation one. Because I assume the drag thumb function before, yep, was just using the saturation brightness thumb. Great. And then the offset is canvas get left of the thumb. Great. Last saturation is there. While canvas left. Actual width. Drag thumb, horizontal offset. That looks right. Current saturation. I am noticing this extra here. Because the other one. Why do I have this line here? This line is not in the original test. Okay, and this is where sometimes Copilot got over eager in its help and didn't help as much as it claimed. Okay. Okay, so let's just step through this test and take a look at what's going on, because something is different, and as far as I can tell, I don't know what. Okay, and I have to believe it's going to be something like this actual width is going to be tiny, but that's not true. So drag thumb, horizontal offset. Let's see. So we want to grab the horizontal offset. We're getting the left side of the thumb and dragging it. Okay. Apply thumb position, blah, blah, blah. Let's see here. Actual width, 400 divided by... So hold on. Actual width is 400. This is going to be an infinity. 1 over infinity defaults to 0. Interesting. Okay. Saturation 0. Let's see. Last saturation 0. While the canvas get thumb is, so the left of this guy is less than, which I think he's 0, right? Because I think the whole idea of this is as you're dragging it, it's supposed to increase the saturation. Let me just confirm that. Canvas get left, yeah. Okay. Drag thumb. Does the things. Does the things. Gets the current saturation. Current saturation is 0. But this guy here should have moved over, right? I guess I can just go up arrow. Yeah, so he shifted over by 10, but the color didn't update. So the question is where something changed. Okay, something is different, and I have to believe it's event timing. Okay. So this first one doesn't bother me. That's perfectly fine. We get the saturation starting at 0, and then we're just going to walk our way across. This one here is the one that should... Zero, 0. Because mouse get position seems to be problematic. Saturation, brightness. Why is it grabbing the mouse position? Shouldn't it? This is why I'm a little confused. You know what we might do? We have a work tree already. I don't think I do. Let's see. Branch. I do have one on origin master. Great. Okay, let's pull this guy up. So a work tree in Git is effectively like a second clone in a lot of ways. It is a different folder. And so if I open this guy up, you will note that collapse this here real quick. So you'll note is part of my path. So I keep everything under my d:\dev, or at least the stuff that I'm working on here. And so Git Kraken will create this .work trees, and then this is my work tree, which looks like a full repository. The big difference here is you'll note there's not a .git folder in here, which means you save the overhead of the entire Git repository that's going into here. So functionally, it's a separate clone. But it's cheaper than a separate clone because you don't need the overhead of a Git repository, an extra Git repository on it. It's still backed by the main .git folder on my main clone. But what it does mean I can do is it means I can go right here and I can open up a second Visual Studio, and this is going to be a great way to get yourself all kinds of confused. But I can go look at this test here. And I think this is probably the easier way to look at it because there's been a couple things that have changed around this. And so I just want to make sure that I'm not, I want to make sure, I want to see what's different about when I execute it here versus when I execute it over on the other side, because something is different and I just don't know what. Come on, come on. This thing probably has to recompile because I have changed its universe out on it. Okay, so let's just step through. So the first last saturation starts at 0. Great. Oh, this test wasn't working before. This test wasn't. Oh, I hate this. I hate this a lot. I hate this very, very much. So we fixed the test and realized that the test wasn't working. Okay. Okay. So this is actually a good lesson. In general, a good rule of thumb is you should avoid loops and conditions inside of your tests, as a general rule of thumb, for this exact reason. Because there is nothing guaranteeing that I get inside of this while loop. Right? Nothing guarantees it. And so the difference between these two is over here, I'm actually getting inside my while loop. So I'm now actually hitting the extra assertions that otherwise were not being hit on the main. That's so dumb. That's so dumb. Okay, because it expects these things to go over, but there's no way for this to work because this thing relies on mouse position. I am still surprised as to why we're using mouse position here. Okay, I want to launch the demo app because I think there's a better way of getting, because the whole point of this is to figure out how far across this thing is. And I'm still surprised that this thing is doing it that way. Let's see, color tool. Let's see here. Custom. All right, so this is your slider down here that's expected to change your hue, right? So as you drag the sucker across, wait, this isn't hitting the breakpoint here? Isn't this the saturation? Is it this one? There we go. Okay. I spoke incorrectly. This guy. So if we go here, right? So this is all on the drag delta. Well, I'm just curious why we are doing, because we have the delta change on here. So we know how much this thing has moved. Why do we not leverage this? Because we want the relative position of, like, even if we disregard this, it feels like we should grab the thumb relative to the canvas rather than the mouse position, because it's making the assumption that the mouse position and the thumb are at the same place, and I don't know that that's right. I don't know that that's right. I just want to test out a theory real quick. Okay, so if we wanted to get the thumb, right? So saturation brightness thumb, get, what is it? Get, what is there's what is the actually, screw it. Nope. I want, is it that? There we go. I want to get the position X and Y by looking at the center of the saturation thumb in relation to the saturation canvas. Okay. Transform to ancestor. That's what I'm looking for. That is what I am looking for. Apply. Okay, so we want to do this. Get thumb center to relative. So if we've got the thumb and we've got the canvas, right, that's fine. Transform visual, transform point. We may want to transform the center of it rather than, because this guy here is a general transform. Oh, then it calculates the center. Great. So get thumb center relative to canvas. Point or yeah, because this was getting the mouse position relative to the canvas with the thought that this was here. But I think if we just do it always based on the center of the thumb, that gets us the same result. Hey, Izzy. Trying to wrap up the last of the T-unit stuff, and then I may do a little bit of Velopack, trying to track down. We've got a weird crash that, and the frustrating part, and why I didn't start with it, is because it only happens sometimes. So it's a really obnoxious bug because it doesn't happen all the time. Okay. But then we realize that we've got a bug. Okay, so I want to move this, get rid of the breakpoint. We realize that there's a bug. Okay, so this thing it's bouncing a little bit. Okay. Why was it jumping before and not anymore? Boy, that gives me a lot of pause. A lot of pause. Why? Makes me worried that there's something that was set before that wasn't now. 'Cause now it's not jumping. There it's jumping. Oh, I see. Because we've centered it, it is adjusting. Okay. Well, in the interest of getting this thing shipped, we're going to put this back as it was. And then I think what we will do, it's just so frustrating realizing that this test, so we are going to skip this test for now. Skip, this test never entered the while loop before the MTP conversion. Because really, I think at the end of the day, I want to rewrite this test with XAML test rather than anything else. And so we will fix this test by just skipping it. Problem solved. See? Easy test fix. Let's see. Failed. That adjusts that. That fixes that one. Is that really the only failure in here? Oh, shoot. If that's the only failure. Oh, yeah, we're going to totally send this. Okay. Up here, checking our changes. Let's throw away that change because that's not really relevant since we dropped that change. Put me on the left. Auto code to victory. Commit. Push. And then force push. Okay. While we are waiting on that, let's take a look at a couple of these PRs. Because this tree data grid, this one gave me a bit of pause because there was some test failures on it. So let's grab it and take a look at it. I merged the other one. There were two PRs from the same author that came in around the tree list view, which I will say that the tree list view is, like, on one hand, it's kind of one of my favorite things. I'm going to close my second Visual Studio before I lose my mind. It is one of my favorite things because it kind of shows the complexity needed to build out a custom control. But it is also one of the most heavily tested controls in the entire library. So in this case, like, the PR was interesting. And yeah, because this is getting the columns up and going, because this is data tree grid columns. So I want to understand where the deltas are on this, because it is something I can see people wanting. Like this tree list view, as far as I'm aware, it is the only one that exists on the internet in a free library. There are a handful of paid libraries that do similar, but being able, like, and this is what the PR is adding, right? The ability to have these columns and these separators in here. right, to be able to build it out, which is kind of nice. Again, it's not a data grid. Like, so let's be clear, it is still a tree list view. Okay, I wanna look through this. Okay, so shall we show the gripper grid lines for columns? That's a good question. Material design spec. Let's take a look at what material design does. Components, and this is probably, I don't think their list shows columns ever. I think we're going to end up, this is one of those areas where the controls for material design may not have a good corollary for it. Like, honestly, some of these are closest. What would those be under, though? Checkbox, chips, divider. No, like, honestly, maybe I just need to scroll through the list a little more. No. List specs. Yeah, that still doesn't show the right thing. Sheet, search, slider, text fields, toolbars, tooltips. I don't see a good... I don't see a... I don't see a good one. I don't see a good corollary, but even their specs right here show show it missing. So I'm tempted. I am very tempted. I think the answer is we probably don't want to. What did we do on the data grid? Let's look at the data grid. Yeah, I think... Okay, so... Shall we show the gripper lines for columns? Gripper has no color. Let's see. So... let's see. Just replying back to the questions. Let's see. One, I think let's skip on the separator line. Oh, I have to build type, right? Let's skip on the separator line. I think that is in, I think having it similar to the data grid is probably most common. Let's see. No, I can see requests for it, so it may warrant its own brush. So, because that may be the solution here, is just allow it to have its own brush, and then the problem goes away. I mean, this is my control, so we can kind of do with it as we want. Let's see. In order to show columns for cells, I use the grid row presenter, but I can't remove the internal treeless view content presenter because no children is shown. So the final code is below. Is there a better solution for this? Let's see. Let's go take a look at this. The part header. I don't know if there's a better solution. Let's see here. Tree list view. Tree list view, and then it's going to be the part header. Okay, so I got to reorient myself with what I'm looking at here. So this is the tree list view item. Wait, is that really the only place? This is in the item itself. Is that really the right place for it? Why is this here? Because this is on the item. Maybe I need to look at the PR a little closer. Why is that on the item? I would have expected it on the... I would have expected it to be on the column itself. Okay, so let's see. So there's a new columns with the grid view columns collection. Great. Works the way one would expect. Grid view cell template, blah, blah, blah. Tree list view cell. Okay. Tree list view line brush converter. That's fine. I may push for this to go inside. There's an internals namespace where classes are functionally public, but we list them as internal. Let's see. Do you know any good graphing controls for WPF? Mainly looking for something to show audio like wave bar in Audacity. Oh, Scott plot, I think, is usually my go-to for graphing stuff. It's not always the cleanest API, but it works well. So what it lacks in pretty API, it makes up for in performance. And like it has a lot of customization available to you. It's just the API and the usage of it is kind of yucky, especially if you want to be like an MVVME route. So you end up, writing your own properties and similar type things. But other than that, like I think this is generally my go-to. Look at that. There's your I think I at least saw it in the demo down here. Which one is that? The thing's too low quality. But there are demos to get you down into something very similar to like what Audacity is doing to be able to show it. And it does, I will say, it is very performant. Like my experience with it has been that the performance problems are not in its rendering, but often in how you surface the data to it. Because if you do things kind of naively and just throw, 3 million objects at it, you've allocated 3 million objects. And so your performance problems come from the fact that you have an observable collection with 3 million objects in it, rather than the rendering of this. So, yeah, I tell you to take a look at scottplot.net first. I think it's probably one of the best ones out there. And as you can see, it runs it like they've got console, WinForms, WPF, WinUI, Uno, Blazor, and blah blah blah. So they do all the things. Yeah, because I was looking for a simple bar chart at one point, and I was mildly disappointed at how difficult it was for me to beat the styling into submission. Like that part made me feel a little sad, but like it technically does everything you want. And you may have to do some math because like if you do like the text placement, sometimes you're positioning things kind of absolutely on the screen, and so you have to account for a lot of stuff that I'm like, why am I having to account for this? Why can I not just kind of generalize it? But aside from that, it does the things. And the cookbook is pretty good too. The cookbook is very good. In order to show columns for cells, but I can't remove because no children is shown. So when there are columns, okay, we'll come back to this. I think I understand why this is here. This is now showing these guys here, and if I have a feeling if I snoop this, we can probably get a better picture of what we're looking at. Let's see. Other good ones that are out there. So the only other graphing libraries that are out there that I even consider, I think Telerik has one. I don't know that there's going to be good free ones out there. And Telerik I have a love-hate relationship with because it is this will get me at least into their docs. I thought they on their WPF one they had a graph. Yeah, so it depends on what you're looking for. They have a handful of graphing type thingy mabobbers. So depending on what you're after, there are some in there. You said waveforms like Audacity. What else? What else is out there that has it? There's an old code project. Waveform that. Bum. Waveform. There is a. Is it this one? There's an old one out where somebody, and I think this may have been the one where I had found it. It's more of like, I don't know if I would consider this a library worth doing, but this is the amount of effort that things start to go into. I generally would discourage people from rolling their own. I built one. Oh, what is the actually? There is a C#. There is a what is the name of it? Oh, I'm blanking on it. Oh, and audio might actually even have a control as well. Let's look at that one. There is. Hey, stop it. C# and audio WPF. This guy, there's some of the. Let's see, WinForms. Do they not show a? Don't see WPF in here, and that may be the. Oh no, there it is. WPF demo. It may be worth taking a brief gander at what an audio used. I don't know what they built out for this visualizations. Especially if what you're looking for, yeah, an audio editor. Also hoping to do some FFT too. Yeah, there is one more library I remember. If I remember correctly, it wasn't maintained though, which is why I loved its API, but it died. It did image processing. It did audio. It did, what was it bloody called? And I am blanking on the name. I don't think it was maintained though, which is why. Was it A-Forge? This might be it. I think it may have been A-Forge that I'm thinking of. Isn't there? Is this? This is not samples. I think this is the one I was thinking of. Video playing, because I think this is where I had run across it before. Yes, this Connect capture. But if I recall correctly, this guy hasn't been maintained in a very long time. Yeah, 2013. Yeah, and it very much was a wrapper over FFmpeg and similar. Yeah. I think that was the other one I was thinking of. Yeah, there's probably a handful of ones where people have built things and posted it online, but I don't know that there is going to be a commercially grade one that I have seen to use. It's actually one of those areas where at one point in time, I considered building a graphing library because I was so annoyed with the poor APIs everywhere else. And then I talked myself out of it because I knew how much work it was going to be. But like, it kind of feels fun. Like, I honestly would not mind getting hired out to like a control library vendor. I feel like I could really enjoy doing that. Like I enjoy trying to get those controls right and nicely implemented and all of that. So, anyway, okay. Back to what I was poorly looking at is I was trying to take a brief gander at one of these items. I think what I'm staring at down here is the ripple and content presenter, grid, canvas, because there's the presenter and then there's the header grid row. So if I go here and I go visibility, that thing is hidden. So I might, it's an interesting problem here. Because this does columns, rows. I'm wondering if tree list view content presenter. I'm trying to remember why I needed this. There was a reason for this because I needed to get in here. Oh, it was all to be able to get a hold of the template as the template got applied. Yeah. Let's see. They might become too opinionated if I did that. Is to other big ones. Infographics rival the Telerik. Oh yeah, I've seen them before. I don't know that I've ever used them. Yeah. I have seen this one. I have never used it on a project though. It's one of those they've come up a number of times when people are evaluating libraries, but they've never come out on top whenever we've been picking things out. The fastest WPF charts. That's a bold claim. That's a very, very bold claim. Because I will say that is one of the areas of of Telerik controls that I often get annoyed at, as there's been a number of bugs that we have discovered in Telerik controls over the years of just really poorly written implementations, and it's frustrating. Let's see, what do they got? Surface chart, data chart, donut chart. That looks wrong. Nope, that is right. I can't spell. Yeah, might have to put that to the test with some 500,000 audio stuffs. Yeah, I would definitely put it to the test to see. Like they've got things in here that make it look like it can handle significant amounts of stuff. Like a shape chart, right? Like that's a canvas. And that's the other thing is some of these things like there's been a couple of times where I've just built my own chart control because you can do quite a bit with either just a canvas and an items control or a grid and an items control if what you want is percentage based or absolute based charts. Like obviously for what you're doing that's not what you're after, and an items control doesn't virtualize, so that can bite you in a number of different ways. This one's kind of cool. Scatter chart, do a nice heat map on something. That could be cool. Like they've got some interesting. Yeah, they've got some interesting looking ones here that are they'd be worth considering. Like I said, I haven't used them, so I just be going through this download trial. But I imagine their trial hopefully gives you access to some of these sample apps where you could tweak one of them to throw some massive data in and see how it holds up. Because that's usually the easiest thing to do is if they have a sample app, just hard code wherever they're loading the data to feed it your stuff, or if their thing is in a loop, increase the loop condition by like 2 or 3 orders of magnitude and see what it does. Because our demos usually are set up nicely. Let's see, grid row presenter. Because I'm kind of wondering on this if we could drop this in favor of not of just doing cells everywhere. Yeah, the hard part here is this is grabbing the template for when the template gets applied. That could be problematic. So let's see, in order to show columns for cells, but I can't remove because no child is shown. The final code is below. Is there a better solution to this? Let's see. For this, best I can think of would be a load of binding to the cells collection on the parent. And actually, that may not even be necessary because you know you've got yeah. Yeah, because this is looking up to the one already to grab the columns. Yeah. Let's see. This is a bit interesting. Will require some more thought. I think it might be fine. I am interested in testing out some cases with template bindings, as that was the intent. In the other presenter. Okay, so let's take a look. What's the third question? For showing grid lines for each tree, I created a simple tree list view cell. If it's not necessary to show grid lines, we can remove it. Let's see. I'm tempted. Actually, maybe I'm gonna drop my. Let's just drop this. I think we can drop it as per one. Okay, so that's an easy one. Let's see, I move the toggle button to the first column data template. This is an easy trick, but maybe not a perfect solution. It could be better to have the toggle button on the first cell. Here's my first column. So can I create a new control called tree data grid? I'm hesitant to use it. Well, so 5. Let's go here. I am a bit hesitant to create a brand new control. I would be more open to a new control template over the existing one, though. Seems like that might be the cleaner approach. Yeah, because I'm hesitant. Like the purpose of this library is to be a theme library, not a control library. So I'm a little tempted. Let's see. Sorry, Izzy, I just saw your thing. 10x the power of my age and dog years. So you were probably not on yet, Izzy, but yesterday I had one of my monitors bite the dust out of the blue. I made the mistake of because I'm getting prepped to remodel my basement. And so I had to, like, my computer setup is powered by a massive 10 gauge extension cord because I have no outlets within, I don't know, 15, 20 feet of where I'm at, which is going to be fixed once I do the remodel. Um, but so I had to unplug it. So I shut everything down, unplugged it, moved the wire, routed it around, got everything, plugged it back in, turned it on. Monitor would not come up. And the weirdest thing, none of the buttons to control the monitor work. I couldn't get like the menu to pop or anything. It's just black. And when I turn the monitor on, my computer reports that the monitor is off. And when I turn the monitor off, the computer reports that the monitor is on. And it's the weird, and I was like, that is the weirdest thing. So I was hoping it was something stupid like the cable, but I swapped out a new cable, and that didn't do anything. And then I took that new cable and I plugged in one of my other monitors into it, and that monitor works just fine on that cable. So it's not the cable, it's not the graphics card or the port on the graphics card. It's something inside the monitor itself. So I'm very annoyed. But given that I'm about to do some remodeling, I'm not going to stress about it until after the remodel's done. So I'm running with one fewer screen to keep track. I've been having the same issue. I'm very sorry. The weird thing is the monitor I have the chat on right now. This is a monitor. It's an old Envision monitor that's a VGA connection that I'm running a VGA to HDMI converter on that I have had for nearly 20 years. I'm waiting. This monitor should be dead. Like, there's no reason it should be alive. Like, it was a decent monitor when I first bought it way back in high school. And like, but yeah, it's alive and kicking. And I don't understand how it's still alive and kicking. And I've gone through multiple other monitors in the same period of this, and it's like, I do not get it. It's not a very high resolution because, you know, it's ye old, it's VGA. So it's lower resolution, but darn it, it shows a picture and it serves the primary purpose of a monitor, which is to show the pretty colorful lights. Let's see. Monitor should have a 100K resistor on the HPD pin. If that blows, you get that sort of behavior on some machines. Oh, that's interesting. Does it make a difference if it's what is it? DVI connection? Because this is the one that went out. It was running a DVI cable back and forth. And that's what I had done, is I had actually swapped, because it has a DVI and a VGA on the back. Again, the one that died is not exactly a new monitor either. It's somewhat old. So I'm not too sad that it died. But I brought over the same cable that's powering this current monitor, and I plugged it in, and that one didn't work. And I'm like, then I plugged it back in, and it's like, well, the port and the cable work because this other monitor drives from it. So it's like kind of annoying. It's especially annoying because my wife got me these nice monitor arms to hang my monitors up with, and I can't use it yet. Ugh. Very nice. I was very happy about it, but it's one of those lovely gifts that I can't make any use of until I'm done remodeling. And on that note, just a heads up for you and everyone else watching. I am probably streaming next week, but I will probably be canceling several weeks worth of streams. There was not going to be a reasonable place for me to reset up my streaming gear anywhere else in the house while I'm remodeling my basement for my office. So I think I'm just going to cancel my stream for several weeks and take that time and spend it hanging drywall and painting and flooring and all of that jazz so that I can have a finished office to play in. So I think that'll probably get me, yeah. See, DVI depends on how the monitor was built. Old ones will go to HDMI. New ones go to DisplayPort chips instead. Yeah, sorry, JC. I know. Like, my wife and I talked about different places where I might be able to set up my computer and similar. And one of the only other reasonable spots would be in our bedroom. But my wife generally goes to bed before my stream ends. And so it's like, I was like, you don't want me setting up in the bedroom. Like, you're not going to be able to sleep with me streaming. Like, that's just going to annoy everybody. So, yeah, I think the easiest thing for me to do is just to cancel the stream for several weeks and run a hog wild trying to get it done. Because I've got, like, my father's going to come over and help as well. So I've got multiple sets of hands. My wife is really good at tape, texture, mud, paint. So she'll run crazy as soon as we get the sheetrock up. But like the room that I'm in is literally a very unfinished basement. No studs, just concrete floor, concrete walls. That's all I got around me. Open studs above me. So it needs some finishing. And then it'll also make it, a little bit warmer. Like the number of times I'm sure you've seen me with my sweatshirt on in the middle of summer is a little too high because, it's a basement. It's freezing cold down here. All the cold air sinks down here because there's nothing stopping it and insulating it. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, so just ASA rudimentary idea, my limited knowledge. Okay. No, and that's fair. I think though for me, like monitors are not that expensive. I think I'm more likely to buy something that can run at a slightly higher resolution anyway. That way I can have a decent monitor. Like that's one of the things like I've got one decent screen in front of me and a bunch of kind of crappy ones, and it's like, it's probably worth getting it. The other thing is the one that went out doesn't even have the mounting screws on the back to be able to hang on the cool new monitor arms. So I need one that I can actually like screw the monitor arms into. So I've got added motivation. Let's see. I want to move. This is I want to back up and I want to go grab my T unit PR because it's showing failed and I want to look at why. Because I want to put this thing away. So close. Okay. Okay. Total succeeded. Total succeeded. Great. Oh, can I just search this test run summary? I bet you I can just search this and go through. Yeah, that part will be nice. If it would navigate, that'd be even cooler. Okay, so there's that one. Let's see. The skipped on that other one is fine because there's a bunch of generated tests that only get run as part of a theming update. So they're a manual run only. Okay, where's the test failures? Okay. You are being a little too obnoxious, and we may go abuse some of the nice curved 28K monitor as big as a cinema screen. Not completely. Like I actually prefer we've got some HP monitors at my office and I actually kind of like them. I think they are I'm trying to remember what resolution they run at. I think it's only 2K, but they're very nice and I I really like not having or I like having not a big ultra wide monitor because it's a pain in the neck whenever you go to screen share on an ultra wide. But I've got the monitor that I'm sharing now for this. That would work well enough. So I just where is the failed? I don't see a failure. 2 half cinema screens then. Yeah, something of that nature. Something of that nature. But I am very much looking forward to being able to have my like what am I an idiot? Uh Annotations have failed according to the summary. Okay, JC, you are much quicker on this. Okay. Where, like, the fact that this is so big and it's taking forever to load is not. I may need to go through and turn off the. Where is the? There's a download. Not delete logs. I want to download logs. View raw logs. That'll work. There we go. Okay. Let's just do this. Okay, so the test run summary doesn't give me anything. Let's see. There's all of that. That's fine. The action test has timed out after 20 minutes. Ah. Ah ha ha. Look at that, 20 minutes and 1 second. So that is very likely the problem. Okay. So let me grab my branch again, and I'm gonna turn this sucker loose on finding where this is, because it shouldn't be. Oh, if you're in the middle of debugging when you do this. Okay, so we should be latest branch. We're gonna just. I have to believe that it's going to be a UI test failure, so we're going to run the other tests independent of the UI ones, and then we'll turn the UI ones loose. Because the UI ones can be a little obnoxious. All the flashy screens and the mouse clicky. And maybe I'll pause then, and I'll track it down afterwards. But let me just make sure it's not in one of these two. Like, it shouldn't be in any of these two. It shouldn't be in either of these two areas. But keep this discovery. You want to keep finding more? Anything else you want to find, or are you done? I do question if I need that 4721. I don't know that I've ever seen a test failure. Well, no, I don't know if I can say that. There have been a handful of cases where something was different on Net Framework versus modern.net. I do also love these durations. The fact that this one shows 19.8 minutes gives me a bit of pause. Okay. That's a lot of spinny and not a lot of finishing. Kind of confused as to why it would be spinning of that nature. Okay. Is it building or running? I'm very confused. Test. Unable to find unique test. Yeah, we skipped the multi UI thread one. I ended up just skipping because there was not a clear way of doing this. Okay. It does seem like there might be a bug in one of these where it is hanging the test runner. Which is interesting. My immediate gut reaction is blame Copilot. But let's start with the simple set. Do the two color ones run? Yes, almost instantaneously they run. Does this thing run? I do wonder if the problem is going to be something along the lines of like this. The little bar goes across. then we hang. That actually makes me feel better if it's in here, because this will be much easier to track down and fix. Okay, because none of these tests should take more than 3-4 seconds. Okay, so let's start here. Start with the converters. We're just gonna binary hunt this guy. I assume it's not an internal. Oh, it might be an internal. Nope, internal's good. So it must be in here, right? We're gonna just keep hunting. One of these guys problematic, and it's gonna be one of the spinny circles. Okay, so it's somewhere in here, 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 here. So rating bar, color picker. Okay, so let's, if I run just those ones that failed or didn't run, that absolutely gets me into this state. Okay, start here. Calendar format info, that one's fine. Dialogue info. We're gonna find one of you guys is gonna be the culprit. Oh, is it another one of these? This one's supposed to be skipped. We know this one hangs. Why is this one running? What does skip mean to you? What does skip mean if not don't do the thing? Okay. This is dumb. So we're gonna fix this one by doing what I call a manual skip, which looks something like Control K, Control C. Now let's run. That, like, what does skip mean? Okay, so that there may be another one in here that is problematic. Okay, and I'm not overly shocked that dialog host might be the culprit because of the statics inside of him. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Let's test that theory. Let's grab everything in here except for dialog host and verify it runs. Let's make sure it's just dialog host that's giving us grief. And then, because as long as this little purple bar continues all the way across, thinking. Is there another one besides dialog host? Okay, no. It is just dialog host tests that are the problem child. Okay. Okay, dialog host, you are my new nemesis. Okay, so let's see. The top bar of the test explorer below play stop shows the unique key exception when you run the dialog hosting. Top bar. I'm missing something in Madges. Top bar of test explorer. Oh, this guy here. Unable to find unique test. What is this? Got it. Key not found. Interesting that this key here would blow up on this. It's specifically interesting to me because when setting is open to false, it returns closing parameter to show. Unable to find unique S. Interesting. Okay, so Hmm. Sorry, I'm just looking at the individual ones that it's flagging here, and I'm wondering if there's anything consistent about this. Okay, we're gonna kill this. And I'm gonna run this again and see. I'm surprised that this one. I assume I get the same. I look at the test output. Okay, so let's look at what this test is doing. Because some of these tests, I'm really tempted to rewrite with XAML tests. Because all of these things are trying to fake WPF interaction. And it's the doing of it is it has to fake the right thread and all of that stuff to have it work. So the not in parallel appears to be working because it's going one at a time. Okay, so let's kill this. Does this run, is this one problematic because it's being run second? Okay. So I think what's probably happening is the dialog host stores it maintains a static list of instances, and I think what we need to do is manually unload it because the old one. This guy still pointed at master. Let's go look at this real quick. I believe the old one actually cleaned up the instances on the way out, if I remember right. And I think, let's see. I think what's probably happening is the conversion from XUnit has probably. Yeah, so this was raised in the unloaded event. Oh, and I dropped that thinking that I didn't need to unload it because I wasn't sharing the instance anymore. But by not having this, the unloaded event on the dialog, I believe, is what's responsible for emptying itself out of the loaded instances collection. Oh, I bet you that's what's happening. I bet you that's what's happening. On unloaded, removes itself from the list. That's what's happening. I'm surprised the garbage collector isn't cleaning it up, but I'm not 100% surprised that there's a difference in behavior because of that. Okay, so I need to be doing this on cleanup of every test. So we need to make sure that every instance we create gets cleaned up. What is the best way to do that? I'm tempted. Let's see. Private class data grid or role host T. Yeah, so we're gonna do this. And then it'll be an after test for sure. But the issue that I have is, so for example, the test that we were dying on is, where is it? It has the dual dialog hosts. Because I'm not holding on to the instance of this guy outside of it. I need to. I think what I want to do, like on all of these create instance calls, right? I need some way to give this thing back, but I think I want to wrap it in a using so it doesn't matter and this thing gets cleaned up at the end of the test regardless. An after test is fine when you maintain your instances, but I think I would rather do something more akin to this. Let's see, control host. I don't want it to derive from that. Let's see, where, we're going to do that, and we're going to do this, and we're going to go, Implement with dispose pattern, that's fine. And we'll do sealed, so we don't need to care about virtual anything. And this can be private now because that won't matter. And then, yeah, sure. That's fine for now. Stop it. Stop trying to help me, Copilot. Would you just shut up and go away? Because I think what I want to do is I want to change this create element to return one of these guys, and I may pull this thing out. I should probably preemptively do that. I'm going to pull this guy up and out of this so that it can be reused elsewhere. And then what I want to do is have some sort of action of T cleanup, right? And then we're gonna go ahead and create an assigned property cleanup, make you private because I don't want you exposed anywhere. And then all I want to do here is invoke cleanup, invoke passing in content. That way it will deal with that. We can primary constructor that. That's fine. That builds all of that up. And then I want an implicit operator. Yeah, that thing. Thank you. Okay. So now I can go control host like this. And then we can do new. And then I think what we can do in all of these is clean this up. We can go host and using, and then dialog host gets that, and then we're off to the races. Right, and then that makes sure that it gets cleaned up the whole way. Oh, I can't implement this way. Let's see. Control host, dialog host, and I need to add a delegate here in a minute, but this needs to be host and then return host. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go with X and then X raise event. And then we need new routed event args, framework element, unloaded event. So that does the callback to my unloaded event. Thank you, Copilot, for fixing that. That callback there goes there, that does there, and then we do this in most all of the places down below. We're just going to do that to fix nearly all of these tests, because I think almost all of them got changed to do the create element from before, but now this will ensure that it gets cleaned up the whole way. Yeah. So I want to make sure that we actually clean up all of these. I need to make sure that... let's see here. And then... Yeah, that's correct. Do that. Do that. Okay. That goes there, that goes there, that goes there. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. That goes there. And then this will go here. Then I need to pay close attention here. This is going to be different on this particular test. So this one can go like this, but this second instance The second instance is guaranteed to raise the unload, so I'm not going to worry about that one. Yeah, okay. That should be fine. Okay, I think that's fine. We don't actually need to extract anything on this one. Okay, so we're going to go here again. Goes like that. This one here. So we're going to do this one here like this. And then we're going to do a second one. Dialog host 2 is going to go like that. And then get rid of that. And then that should just work. That's the one we got rid of because skip is not skip. Okay, now I think if I've done this right, it works. I think. Because now it should... Okay, I am mildly concerned with the fact that I see so many things running in parallel, but... And I'm a little confused as to the can close. Like, why did it not run all the tests? Okay. Let's try this again. Yeah, the fact that I'm seeing multiple parallel spinners is giving me pause because these were explicitly told not to run in parallel. Clear. Let's try this one more time because I feel like there's something useful in this output that I'm missing. The fact that this thing shows 51 and this thing shows 25. Not all tests from the test run could be discovered. Can close dialog with routed event. Okay. What? Huh? Why could you not be discovered? Seems very odd that that particular one. Because, yeah, something is weird here, right? Like, this and this is where I'm wondering often works better. Yeah, and I've had a lot of issues with the preview builds of Visual Studio and any of my MTP projects. There's something up with the test runner here that is giving me time to delete VS folder. Like, Izzy, you are not wrong. You are 100% not wrong. In fact, I think we might do that right now because there's enough wackiness going on here that I don't know what the heck. Let me just... I'm gonna do a quick commit here so I don't lose anything. And then we're gonna do the abusive git clean dfx and just roast everything. Yeah, because the git clean dfx is a great way to throw away work. Great way to throw away work. Followed by a Windows reboot. The problem is my stream doesn't stay up through a Windows reboot. I don't have dual machines for streaming like most streamers do, which is why occasionally, like, if I start running heavy tests or builds, you'll see my stream lag. It's because Visual Studio decides that it wants all the juice, and that doesn't work well when OBS wants some of the juice. There's a handful of things of that nature where it's like, it's not overly great. Like I realize that's the exact reason why most streamers run a second machine and like a capture card similar between them. That way they don't have this problem. Someday, but that's not today yet. Okay, hopefully this thing just works. Because I may end up just running it from the terminal to see how that goes, because we also may just push it and let the pipeline run it. Okay. There. Test Discoverer is running. Tree node filter, star class name. Tree node filter. I'm not familiar with that option. Like, I'm familiar with the -- filter, JC, on the .NET Test. Is that something I just don't know about? Oh, T unit equivalent. Got it. Okay, got it. I was surprised. I was like, I don't remember seeing that. Yes, because I typically will just do .NET Test with -- filter and do the same thing, right? You drop your class name in or any sort of qualifier and you're off to the races. Okay, this looks better already. The fact that this thing is showing the right number of these. Yeah, dialog host test 25. The fact that the previous one was showing 51 is probably a bug, and the fact that this now shows 25, because it didn't feel like I edited 51 tests, and now they all pass. .NET run, not test. Yes, correct. Yeah, and JC, that was actually something. Let me scroll up and grab it. I don't know if you were here when I shared it before. I actually ran into some interesting problems with let's see, it's this one. I ran into some problems with that, like MTP and the entire setup, which if you're on T, you have to be on MTP. But just with the way that it was structured, because on one of my projects in my day job, we were running .NET Test targeting a solution, and we had multiple test projects, and I was struggling getting the output out of it properly, which then led me down a rabbit hole of chasing how it is working. I'll summarize some key aspects of that video for people who don't want to watch the whole thing. With .NET 10 in November, the current implementation of things like .NET Test with MTP is kind of hacked together. They are fixing that in .NET 10, so that's not a complete hack. But it's also the reason why you run in, like, because .NET Run is great, but you can't .NET Run at the solution level. You have to .NET Run each individual test project, which is kind of obnoxious, because I would much prefer to have my pipeline doing .NET Test at the solution, and then as I add test projects, they just get picked up and discovered and run, and everyone's happy. It's just problematic with that whole separation. And so there's an open issue on GitHub for .NET Run at a solution level to be able to support something like that, or to be able to support .NET Run with like a project filter. So you could do, .NET Run, maybe -- filter, star.tests or something, right? To be able to say, hey, I want to .NET Run all of my test projects. Something like that would be nice, but it doesn't have a lot of traction because it's just targeting test projects right now. And there's not really a compelling use case for .NET Run at the solution beyond MTP at the moment. And so it's like, well, it's only this one use case. It's not a broadly applicable thing. Why are we going to change the way .NET works just for that one use case? But they are fixing it so that a lot of the options, because right now if you like .NET Test or .NET Run, to get the options in, you have to do the double hyphen to escape it, to then pass the options into the executable to be able to run. They're addressing that because right now .NET Test, or a lot of the .NET CLI, is very dynamic. So when I did like the -- help, all of these options here, you'll note none of these are supporting the MTP options. And you really would want .NET Test to give you the MTP output options for like setting the output verbosity, or setting up the stuff for the TRX if you're grabbing code coverage or any of that stuff. And it's kind of obnoxious the way you have to do it now. And so that's being fixed in .NET 10, thank goodness. But it was one of those, when I ran into those problems, I got a little annoyed, and I'm like, and so I tracked down one of the engineers on the team and was like, help, I'm confused, I don't like this, why is it so bad? And he's like, okay, let me explain, we're fine. I'm like, okay, you've put my nerves at rest. So that was nice. Great guy. Great guy. But it does mean that there's kind of an awkward situation at the moment. Okay, so we're going to push that, and then hopefully that goes through, and then let's check out this PR. Right. So this was all about doing the toggle button in the left column. And real quick, while this is running, I'm going to move. I want to grab the action for it, and I just want it open for no other reason other than I can watch this little icon change. Okay, so the question is there a better way to be able to go through and do the expansion button? Let's see here. Tree list view indent converter. Sorry, I'm just reading through what this is doing. So this is cell template. How is this implemented in the... It's right here. So where am I here? This is in the expansion. And so this is actually adding this in. I am somewhat tempted to... Okay, well, that's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with this that I'm worried about. Default selected. Yeah, it's just falling back and doing the line brush, which that may end up going away anyway. Tree list view cell. So this is the individual items. Because if we're going to do a separator, I don't know why this text block is here. Guessing testing. But what, okay, so what is going on here? We've got a border, a grid. No problem, JC. Have a good day at work. Let's see. We've got a border, a text box. I'm just trying to look at what this is. This is a line brush converter. So this is setting up a padding with a border thickness. So this whole thing is to draw a line, because this is left, top, right edge. So this is just drawing a vertical line on this border. Um, yeah, I'm curious on the text block, because it seems like this could be just a self-closed border, because all it's doing is a line. And it's doing a line where both of these things are in a grid. It's got a negative right margin, so it actually sets itself off to the right, but it's 1 pixel thick, but it's 5 to the edge. And it's got a left and a right margin of, or a left and right padding of 3. Sorry, I'm doing math in my head. This is 6, but it's offset itself 5. Probably okay. That's like, okay. Tree list view cell. Foreground, fine. Tree list view button style, expand path. I'm just wondering if there's a better way of doing this rather than relying on that grid content thing to render each of these and render them all ourselves. Because I'm willing to bet if we go let's take a quick gander. Let's take a quick gander, right? So it comes back to this grid row presenter, right? So if we go here and we just take a look at what this guy is doing, I am willing to bet it involves a grid with a shared size scope and something. Okay. What do we got here? On content chain, new value, old value, blah, 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 disconnected item, blah, 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 measure override. So grid view column, and it's sizing the children directly. Oh, oy vey. Okay, so that is not the implementation I had expected. I had expected an implementation that was more in line with using the shared size scope on grid, but apparently not. This is now making me wonder if a second control template might be better. That is. Yeah. Okay. Um, tree list view cell. Because where does this get used? I want to see the tree list view cell class. Collapse this. Tree list view, because this is adding the columns in. So this would be the only reason to spin a new control. Is because it goes back to the basic premise of WPF. Controls are lookless. Just merge it. What could go wrong? Well, the thing is, I'm trying to kick a release too, so I'm like there's enough here that I'm a little twitchy on it. But I am kind of wondering about does the question that the author posed around making a new control. Do we make a new? Because if we make a new control, just to, like it would end up deriving from this guy, and I'm somewhat tempted. Let's go look at list view grid view, because you'll note my to do that's sitting in the code there is because this thing derives from a grid view. I'm somewhat tempted to try and handle that instead rather than this approach. Because the advantage of going with a grid view is it's already there, right? We don't need to add. If we go with the grid view, we don't need to add this. It does mean that we have to do more work to support it. I do wonder how. I wonder how hard this is. I wonder how close it is, if at all. It may not even be that close. Let's look. I'm not on that branch anymore, am I? Let's go check out. Let's go back to this guy real quick. I got too many things open. I don't know which one of these is the right one, so I'm just going to close and reopen them. So we're going to go here. Okay. Let's reopen this because I'm curious what it does when we uh stop it. I just want to steal. I just want to do this because I'm really curious if we look at the demo. Let's see, trees. Sorry, I am. Okay, so where was the change on here? Failed to create dependency property, blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. I want to do this, and I want to change this to view, and I want to do grid view. Inside of the grid view, I want to do, let's just dump this for the moment. Let's see here. Just want to look at what was being done here and then redo the same collection of columns inside of here. So we had one. If I do, let's see. Uh, do, 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 do. Okay, so what do we have down here? This was tree margin. Oh, this is just the toggle button. And then we want the count. No, there's name and then count is what it is. So header name, count. Let's see. Display member binding. Is that all that other sample was using was display member binding? Great. So this one was binding on name. Let's see. Binding, and then the other one is on count. Okay, so let's go like this. So because I'm just curious as to, oh, that's the wrong, not the right project. That's not going to launch. That doesn't have a main method. Stop, cancel. Yeah, output library can't be launched. I don't doubt it. I think I blame the person who told me to delete the .vs directory. Let's see here. Okay, so yeah, so it just doesn't render anything. Great. Yeah, so okay. But I think this is the implementation that we would want to go with. is actually swap out for the grid view. I'm curious to look at GitHub WPF. I think what we want to do is we actually want to poach. It's always my fault. My project manager agrees. I didn't call you out by name. Let's see. List view. Okay, what I want to find is the built-in list view template. Fluent style is probably fine. Because I want to look at grid view inside of here and see how the heck this is implemented in their Fluent one. Column header container style. So this is grid view. Okay, so it's all, what did they do? So there is a view is grid view converter. Oh dear heavens. So they literally have a trigger. So they set up their default template on the list view. And then they have a trigger that says, oh, by the way, if the view happens to be a grid view, then go ahead and change the template. Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. So I think we would want to do something slightly more akin to this. I think is the implementation I would be a little more inclined to go with. I'm surprised that this item container style is being dynamically grabbed, but I guess it is a style key, and so by doing it dynamically, it allows for someone outside of the WPF library to define a style with this key, and it will resolve that at runtime. I assume that's why it's doing it. Normally, I tell people when you're setting styles in your app, you don't use dynamic resource because it's rare that, like, typically at compile time, you know exactly which one you want it to resolve to. Don't do it at runtime. Because dynamic resource does have some extra overhead to it because it has to be able to dynamically update. But inside of WPF itself, I guess it's slightly more okay because they have to leave it open for somebody else to override it. I think this might be the better implementation to go with. I'm gonna link this. Okay. Copy permalink. And then let's go back to the PR. Oh! It passed. It passed. I'm so happy. Send it, send it, send it, send it, send it. Send it, 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 send it. I heard send it. There is no way this causes any immediate problems with me just completely merging the T-unit stuff right out the gates. This is going to cause problems. I can guarantee it. I'm going to let it sit for at least a week before I run it. It passed. It must be wrong. No, Izzy. No. You see this line here? Let me explain how I know why the pass works. See this line? This is a line of past failures. This is how you know you were doing stuff. Because this is literally see I got going. I upgraded to XUnit 3.1. That was pretty easy. I turned on MTP. That was pretty easy. And then this is where the trail of tears starts. Convert to T-unit. This is where it kind of got messy fast, right? Like it just like, and then this was just getting it to compile, and then this was getting it all working. That's begging to be squashed. Don't worry, I squashed it on the merge. I squashed it all on the merge. And oftentimes during a rebase, I will squash on the fly as I go, just because I get tired of seeing whip, save point, assert true. Like This is clearly points where I did not use the AI to write my commit message because it would have written something that resembled interestingness because I changed 6 files for assert true, and I assume that this is just the find replace for assert that true. Yeah. So yeah, reverting stupid, right? Again, the AI generally doesn't write commit messages that way. But yes, yeah. On master, it's just one commit. It's just one commit. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I probably should have cleaned up the message so that it didn't show the conglomerate of all of those. Okay. Okay, so is more interesting. Would really want to keep the toggle outside of the, let's see, keep the toggle outside of the columns. Okay. So overall, I think we might need to, where is my thing? Let me put myself on the other side. I think we might need to pivot on the implementation a bit here. It would probably be better to look more at implementing it via the grid view, similar to how the WPF base list view control works. And I'm gonna just do something about like this. This likely will be a more complicated path, but I think it will be the better approach. Let's see. I just found out why I couldn't format my SD card. Turns out the adapter actually needs an SD card inserted first. Go figure. I mean, I would be more impressed if you were able to format the card without inserting it. That would be quite impressive. Because that absolutely takes some effort. Sorry. A let's see. Sorry, I'm replying to a couple of messages. Okay. Okay, so I think this one we're going to pause on and let it sit because I'm not. I think I want a different implementation of how we go through and do. Okay. This one. This one was interesting, but I wanted to look and see because I think there's a cleaner implementation for this. This is because the whole idea here is being able to change out how the tabs work. Now, there's probably a bug here as well that's yeah, because it is simply not shown. Yeah, so there's potentially a margin or something issue on here, but what speed up did you roughly get from TU? Oh, that's a great question. That is a great question. Let's go look because we can see issues on, if we do like my nightly release builds. because we can see the ones that actually ran. So for example, this one was, let's see, build and test. Let's see how long the test runs. So previously this run was 13 and a half, we'll call it. And then if we go look at our latest run, we look at build artifacts, or that's not the... Let's see, if we look at this one here, how long did this take? Almost exactly the same. So approximately 0% based entirely on that. And you know what? I'm wondering if I'm surprised about that. Because the XAML test, I think, is the biggest hang up on all of this. So let's look at master runs. All right, so let's go check a couple more of them. So 16, 17, 17, 17, 17, like all of these are kind of in the same ballpark. Right? So if we go here, 1344, because in the case of here, because there was two things that I think are probably contributing to this more than anything else. First, and let me grab master here. Let's whack this for a second. First, I turned off the parallelism for TUnit. And I think that it probably contributes a great deal to this, because one of these guys in here has my parallel limiter. So I turn off on the UI test project itself the parallelism and limit it to 1. Because with XAML test, because it's trying to move the mouse and do clicky things, some tests could be run in parallel, but without segmenting them based upon which ones need access to the keyboard and mouse, I can't have 2 tests that rely on keyboard or mouse or focus interaction running at the same time. So in line with what I had done in XUnit previously as well, because on XUnit I did the same thing. I dialed it down so that there was no parallelism, and dialed that back. The other thing is the UI test itself is the lion's share of the time. So of that 13 minutes, I would be willing to bet over so the 13 and a half minutes of the total execution, I'd be willing to bet over 13 minutes of it is probably the UI test project. And the limiting factor there is spinning the processes. So I suspect that those that limiting bit is probably, I think that's why I'm not as surprised on the speed up, is because I had to turn off all of the things that would normally speed it up. I may also turn off some of the progress output, just because console output is slow, and I don't need to, and frankly, this gets so big with all of it. So yeah, Magis, I think the answer is 0%, which is disappointing. Like, I would have hoped for a little more, but I guess at the end of the day, the speed up gains from it, I've kind of turned off, and so it's not overly shocking. It's not terribly shocking. Yeah, so I don't know that surprises me that much. Okay, tab control headers. I want to take a look at tab controls, because I think there's a way to do this without the attached property. Okay, so let's go here and tab control. So I think, all right, so we'll just pick on the first one. You bought a racing cart and dismantled the tires. That's fine. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Though you do make there is a compelling argument there that that I have limited quite a bit. Let me actually pull open the control template that we have for this, because I think, let's see, LMNOP tab control. I think there is a way to do this without changing this out, but maybe not. Maybe because of this setup here, there's not a clear way of doing it. Because this guy here, padded, this is a bindable items host. Yeah, and I don't know why we made this internal. It makes the problem with making attached properties like this internal is oftentimes the answer when people ask, "Hey, can I change this part of the template?" It's like, "No, not really. Copy the template into your project." The problem is they copied into the project and then they can't access this guy here. And I don't know why. I think there's an issue open for this, isn't there? Let me look. If there is, we're just going to fix it right now. I think there was somebody who wanted this. Yeah. So let's just do it. There's not a good reason not to. And I can literally do this right now while I'm looking at it. Because it's literally public, because it's only there so that somebody can copy in the okay. Yeah, sorry, I'm just going through checking to make sure, because once I make it public, there's no going back, because now it's broken. Okay, so let's see, fix. What's the issue number? 3685. Grab that. Fix 3685. Do this. Auto code the message because I'm too lazy to think. Right? Great. Oh, wait. I wanted to do fixes, because if you do this in your message, GitHub will automatically resolve the issue when it merges. Great. Drag drop. Oh, I learned something the other day. If you don't want to drag drop, you can right click, push and start pull request. I don't know when that got added. The only thing it doesn't do is it doesn't select this thing up nicely for you, and I wish it did, because like it's nice that it does most of it. The drag and drop gives you better. It's like I want it to just take my default branch and rock and roll. So we're going to do this, and then enable auto merge, squash. Boom, done. Okay, so now that that's done, okay, so there's that. And why did I think that I could bind the items template here? I feel like I remember being able to. Okay, there's something I in the back of my mind. WPF, tab control. I vaguely recall seeing this. Do I not have it? I can swear that I've done this once before. I could have sworn that I'd done this, and I know I looked here before, but did I really not? There is tab strip placement. Is that really the only? This is what I'm looking for. Tab item, header template. This is the template for the header though. Okay, but this is where I swear I know that there's something about the container, and maybe I'm just making this up and getting the tab strip placement. Okay, I think. Okay, that makes me feel a little better. Okay, but okay. Now I feel like I got my bearings put back around. I think what I would rather do though is rather than doing it. So what's the bug here? Tab item in 2 rows are not displayed in 2 rows when the window is scaled down. I think that's by design though. So let's look. Material design spec. Something in the back of my mind is telling me that that is the way the tabs are supposed to work. Spec. What do they do on collapse? Primary tabs. Because I'm fairly confident they're not supposed to wrap in the material design spec. Now, because this is going to be one of those cases where what WPF does by default and what material design decrees are probably different. Let's see, layout centered, blah, blah, blah. Specs, guidelines. Primary, secondary tabs. And it's use tabs to categorize related groups. Instead, create a hierarchy within the content using techniques like typography style. Yeah. So I think what I would propose then is rather than adding the attached property, create a secondary style that changes this out the template. Okay, so sorry for the delay on this one. I think a better implementation would be to create a secondary style for the tab control that implements it with the wrap panel. The default WPF behavior contradicts the material design behavior. So we want the current, let's see, horizontal scroll behavior to be the default. But in cases like this, we have often put in secondary styles that people can set if they want a different behavior. Because I think if I look at this, this is really, I think the implementation is a template change. Let's see. I don't care about demo. I don't care about demo. There's the attached property. And then down here, yeah, so it ends up with a secondary scroll viewer that's being toggled back and forth. Okay, so I think what I would do is a secondary style and or template, right? I think is what? Oh, wrong tab. secondary style, and or template, and let's be clear, control template for the tab control elements with the wrap panel. Yeah, so let's comment there, put myself as the thing, and we'll leave it at that for the moment. I think that will handle that one. That one we looked at, that one's running. This one I need to come back to. It's there's the more I think about it, the harder this gets, because it is very difficult to do the selection this way without killing off virtualization. It's very, very difficult. And I almost, yeah. Let's see, fix enhance mouse overs for tab control. Let's see. This is probably fine. Yeah. Yeah, and let me just check and make sure, because as long as this is implemented in a way where this is tab header cursor. I think we might be able to do this differently though. So the thing that's giving me pause here, so what's giving me pause and wanting to look at this one a little closer is I think this one is, so let's grab this. Check out. I think this is setting the cursor at potentially too high of a level, and I'm curious why we need an attached property for the cursor. I would have expected us to be able to leverage the existing cursor property that exists on most WPF things. Uh, from my previous, sorry, just getting replies here. Blah, blah. Okay, so let's take a look, because this change is inside of this change was where 294 and 337. So 294. This is why, let's see, Ripple. This is setting cursor on this grid, but this grid wraps a lot of stuff, which is what's giving me, so this is the tab item itself. So selection, color zone. All right, I'm looking for where the cosine ripple, because this is all the way up. One of these guys is the content host, and I'm looking for it, and I don't see which one of these. Oh, is it right here? Are you my content host? You are my content host. Okay, so this is all the way up. This is the header label color zone. Yeah, so this guy here, and this grid is only here to control the selection, border color, and otherwise. Okay, that's probably fine. It's just reaching up to grab this. That's probably why. I think though what I would propose is a much simpler change. I think the simplest thing, setter property cursor value hand, right? I think if I just do this, and then we can whack this completely. I don't think it will matter at all. Okay, so let's go tabs. And then let's, what I just say, and I guess this is what I was worried about, is if I set it here, it propagates in. Okay. Well, that is the difference between setting it in the tab assist. Okay, so that change is probably the best we're gonna get. Disappointing. Okay, so let's just check this. So appropriately declared attached property, tab header cursor, that seems fine. Tab assist, defaults to hand, great, goes there. Gets bound to the cursor property of the grid. And then the addition here is mouse over true. Source color zone, set the background. Yeah, this seems fine. I think we send it. Okay, so this fixes this. Let's just make sure it's in the thing. It is. Great. We're going to approve this. I do apologize, Corvins, if you're watching this, for how long it took me to actually get around to reviewing these things. This is not it. This is it. Approved. Squash merge. Okay, And then I just want to check the milestone because I am very eager to kick a thing. So what else is in here? So we are going to spin a 5.4 milestone. 5.4.0. Create milestone, and I want to, oh, not a new issue. I want to create another milestone that is for a fast follow, because every time there's a release, 5.3.1, there is inevitably going to be a bug somewhere that prompts me to do it. I try not to, but we're going to get that going. And that gets there. Let's see. And I don't think we need evaluation required on this one anymore. I don't really want to call it a bug, but I kind of want to. Why do we have a transitions one? Surprised to see that. I thought I cleaned that one out. We're gonna put bug and enhancement on there because it's not really a bug. I mean, it's a. In some ways, there was an engineer I talked to at one point that argued that anytime the software didn't behave as the user expected, it was a bug. And the bug might be in the code, it might be in the design, but it was a bug if it didn't behave the way it was expected. So in this case, my target audience is developers. It clearly didn't behave the way Kufo 7 expected, enough that they opened an issue for it. So there's at least a confusion point there, and it would be nice if there was a better answer. So I think this one we've slowly been, yeah. Reason why the problem was is, I checked the third-party library and found it was a problem with the slider. Has not affected the overall. The logical errors will be a major undertaking. Let's say we fix in the next version. So hold on, I'm unclear. Exception occurred, could not find governing element. Target property is visual, right? So this thing here. Which thing is it failing to find? Could not. Target element is visual bush. So I think what it's saying is this guy. Source code and locate that point. Okay. It's probably worth taking a look at a handful of these to try to address. I think there were PRs that merged. I'm gonna slap this guy in just so that it gets looked at, but it may get punted. It may get punted. I think that's where that's gonna go. It is probably worth a handful because I guess I should check this. If I check the output window, right? Do I see binding errors? Oh, sorry, I'm seeing. I think I just got a GitHub notification on that particular one. Oh, let's see here. Cannot find resource path. Opened 1 minute ago. Literally new issue. Let's see here. Oh, I am surprised. This is one that I get all the time. I get this all the time. Revit. So this is, and you'll note there's a key difference here, right? This is being put in window resources, which is slightly different. And I don't know I don't know why, because Revit is owned by one of the CAD companies. It might be in the user PepCAC. Yeah, 100%, Izzy. 100%. And there is an argument to be made that you shouldn't like this engineer was definitely of the opinion that the user's always right, but that's like the idea that the customer's always right. And like, so one of my first jobs, I worked in a motorcycle shop, and we had the saying, the customer may always be right, but in a motorcycle shop they're all liars. So like that, it doesn't always work. Like there needs to be at least some amount of vetting, but I do think that it is mildly reasonable to at least say if somebody spent the time to open an issue, there's probably at least an understanding issue here. This is one that I don't know how to solve for people. I need to like write a tutorial or do a video or something specifically on Revit. Like if I remember right, I can't get Autodesk. That's right. I need Autodesk or somebody to get me a license so that I can put together a sample of how to build extensions for it. Because I don't, is there a trial? I don't think there's a trial for this. Oh wait. Download free trial. Yeah, because it's bloody expensive and people build extensions. And I have gotten probably a dozen bugs specifically of people trying to reference this library inside of a Revit extension and not fully understanding how .NET does the assembly loading and the XAML bits and all of that. And so you can't follow simple tutorials. I am convinced somebody has a tutorial out there for Revit using material design, because I get so many of these things. And I don't know where these people are coming from. I do not understand it. I like Revit API. I think there's got to be somebody that has put out. Do they? No, that's not it. Let's see. There's got to be something that has. Nope. Yeah, there's is it this one? Is it this one here? Yeah, because this is the hard part. Is I like you create these add-in things. Like I've been down this path once before, and figuring out how to appropriately reference all of the resource dictionaries and get them brought in is non-trivial, right? So this is this one here. Copy my to point to the location where your cloned application, blah blah blah. Yeah, there's something of this nature, and I don't know. There may be something. Let me look at this. Because this is using bundled theme. I wonder, does my bundled theme class rely on because application.current will be null in these extension cases, because there has not been a WPF application started. You are loaded into your own little assembly. I wonder if bundled theme. Resource dictionary source. I wonder if bundled theme requires application.current. I wonder if that's the root cause of all of this. Apply theme, set theme. Because this is literally like because bundled theme is just a resource dictionary. There's got to be something that relies on application.current in all of this. There's got to be something that relies on application.current. There's no application current. There's got to be a call in here somewhere. Okay, so we're going to ignore the Ma apps one. We're going to ignore the demo one. We're going to ignore the demo one. Palette helper does it. Palette helper, though, is largely, I would argue palette helper should be deprecated. There is, because it's only there because the old library had static accesses, and I'm slowly deprecating it down to where that's not the case, right? Because you used to be able to do, new palette helper, do this, and then it just works, right? But these exceptions got added in, and that mitigated a lot of the issues because then people understood what was going on. Get theme manager, but that's the only place that is using application.current. So do I have any palette helper references inside of the library? I thought I killed them all off. That's a demo. That's a demo. Is there any palette helper references inside? There's palette helper extensions. That might be interesting. Oh, this is a demo still. That's UI tests. Yeah, material design library itself does not reference palette helper at all. It is there for people who are used to the older API, and it is not used anywhere else. Okay, okay. Yeah. We're going to punt this because this is probably out of scope. It is latest version, but maybe I need to just spend some time and create a Revit add-in with a sample and put it in my examples app and go from there, because there is download free trial. I wonder if I could contact somebody at Autodesk. Does it count as home use or education if I don't care? Interesting. Okay, so I will have to play with this. I don't necessarily want to attack it now, but that will probably be the path there. Let's do one quick check around the milestones. What's left in here? Demo app, huge memory leak. And this one is, I think, this is possibly a duplicate. Yeah, this is one of those that is difficult to come by. Let's check this one. I'm just trying to decide which of these things, like some of these I can probably, these ones I can punt, well, this one in particular I can just punt down to 531 because it's not going to make it. Same with this one, is going to go down to 531. See how easy it is to solve issues? You can just punt. Izzy, have a good one. 6 system images to test. Dang. I'm sorry. Let's see. Dialog host accessibility issue. Seems to lose focus when the window is minimized. When you restore it, after the focus goes to main view, even if the dialog host is always opened. I think this is fixed. We can probably test this really quick. Dialog. Right? So this guy is focused. Minimized. Oh, it's not. That is shocking. The cancel pass model. Awesome. So it is losing the focus. Interesting. Okay, so let's take a quick look at dialog host, because I thought there's intentionally stuff in place to refocus. Restore focus on dialog close. This thingy, yeah, like there is code in here intentionally to do it. Let's see. This property change callback, blah, blah, blah. Don't attempt to invoke, hasn't been assigned yet. Wait, this is restore focus on dialog close. Is restore focus disabled? Check for the restore focus. Ba-bum. I'm looking for the blur radius, apply template, restore focus properties. These guys, there are built-in things to restore this focus. Okay, so close event dialog. Where is the minimize? There's like a window. Window. There is static calls in here specifically to grab window. Get the window. If window is not null, get the restore focus scope. Check the restore focus scope. Get restore focus element, focus override. Sets this guy up. This should set the value, but what I'm not seeing that I thought was here is I thought there was an event that got registered on the window to know when the window state changed. That's what I thought was here. This is here, right? So if I go run code, right? So we come in here, restore focus disabled is off. We grab the focused element, which we get a hold of the thingy. We do the needful, check for a focus override. Great. That's got a hold of the element. Okay, so we're gonna look at the history of dialog host CS because I have a feeling that's where this is. Let's jump up to master. What was my pending change? What is my pending change here? The tab control bits. Don't care. That is delete stash. Okay, so we are gonna go history dialog host.cs. And I think at the point that restore focus was done, that was probably, I don't like this. This isn't related. That isn't related. And there's this one after the rename. Let's come down here. Combo box and dialog host. That's not it. That's not it. File scope namespaces. Fix dialog focus. That sounds related. Let's go side by side. I can't read this. Focus pop-up. This is just changing how we focus the items inside the pop-up. This guy here This is when Nikolai added in the restore focus element, which is where I expected to find this. I swear there used to be code in here. Apparently this has been broken for a while. I swear there used to be code in here that watched the window events and restored it when the window was maximized. I can swear I remember seeing code in here around the window. But maybe I'm crazy. That's a possibility. I don't want to eliminate that as a, because this I could have sworn there was something in here. Yeah, and this is hold weak references. Like there is nothing in here for this. Why did I think that we had something in here? Okay, okay, Visual Studio's lost its mind. I could have sworn because it's something along the lines of like window state changed, and like I could have sworn there was something of this nature in here before, right? Where it watches this, and then when the window state changes, if it gets remaximized and the restore focus is set, it goes through and populates this value. Like this is where, so we're not going to leave this in, but I think the implementation is something like this. I think the implementation looks something like this. Right? So we do this, right? Sender doesn't match, nullability, great, shut up. Right? And so we come in here, if window state equals window state, or I guess it's not equal to minimized. I think it's something akin to that. Find all references, because it's actually probably this. See, this one I think is safe to not do a. Is it safe to do a dispatcher this way? I don't. I think we want to do. I think we want to leverage the dispatcher here, because there was a bug where somebody ran into this issue where they had multiple UI threads at play, and I think. Okay, let's just launch this and see. I think this is going to be the fix. I'm a little torn on this because this is adding an event handler to a window class, and this is potentially memory leak city, and I don't want to just leave this in, but I think it fixes the problem. So we're there, we minimize, we maximize. Oh, we aren't. Let's grab this here. So we minimize. Window state minimize, great. And then we're gonna put a breakpoint inside of there. Oh, restore focus dialog close is hitting on the button. Wait a minute. Oh, this is the old. Okay, so this is, of course, the wrong one. This is restoring focus when the dialogue. Okay, this is the wrong thing. This is because this is putting the focus back to the control that opened the dialog, not go, okay. There is a focus pop-up or something. Sorry, 1 second. There's a very weird noise coming from somewhere upstairs, and I'm not entirely clear where it's coming from. Probably my wife doing something. Okay. Well, regardless, I think I'm going to punt this one for now. Actually, I'm going to leave this one here because this is probably worth taking a look at. But this is getting us much closer. I think this is getting punted because I've looked at this one and I don't know that it's worth. There's a handful of things where it's. I think I'm gonna punt this one into 531 as well. Because I'm not gonna. The real question is, would I hold a release for it? And I think we're gonna keep those dialog host ones in there. Our worst after this change, we've added the following to our style that targets to window to allow attached properties and to trickle down. Got it. It's like I have to set this all the way down. Just set. Okay, so this one I might look at as well because this looks like it's potentially just the same issue. And there might be a performance level thing. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That is okay. We will take a look at those, and then I want to try to get that 5.3 release out so that the preview builds rock and roll. Okay, so with that said, I'm gonna try to push to get the 5.3 out before I kind of cancel my streams so that I can be doing remodeling on my basement. So there will be a period of time on Twitch where you see me going offline. You will still see me doing open source stuff. I will still have computers and be online and coding and whatnot. It's just I won't have my monitors or my extra monitors, my cameras, my mic, and all that stuff set up. So streaming will be somewhat difficult without all of those things. But as always, thank you for coming and hanging out. Happy coding. See everyone next time.